In a moment, a sharp wind that reaches the sky appears on the surface of the earth. What is more surprising is that this sharp wind will constantly jump on the surface. Countless disasters occur now and then, causing the death of 100 million people worldwide in a short time. However, even if humans use nuclear weapons, they cannot harm the atmosphere. People say that it is the work of aliens. However, the sharp wind has always remained silent, as if a huge, sharp thorn has pierced everyone's heart like this. 12 years later, somewhere in the United States, this girl named Talia is an ordinary beekeeper. Just a few days ago, she took her baby bee back to her hometown to give the local farm a harvest and also to visit her parents. However, the bank's rush call kept ringing early in the morning. Talia wanted to pretend that no one was there, but the bank called her father. Her father was very honest and let Talia answer the phone. This made Talia very unhappy. Her relationship with her parents had become worse. The next morning, Talia took the wind tide to California. The life of a beekeeper is like this. There is no luck in the 4 seasons of the year. Where the flowers bloom, they have to follow. The long driving makes Talia tired, and the accident happened in the next second. Talia and the car are fine, but the wind tide on the tractor was almost scattered all over the place, and she couldn't take care of herself. Talia hurriedly asked the other party to come over to help fix the wind tide. After the two of them did everything in a hurry, the other party introduced himself as Kai, a rescuer. He saw that Talia's leg was injured. Kai was kind enough to bandage Talia's wound. However, Talia's attention was not on the wound. Alright. Talia used to be a playboy who couldn't move when he saw a handsome guy. But Kai had no mood to flirt with Talia. His good friend died in an accident 2 weeks ago. The car he's driving now is a doctor's car. He wouldn't flirt with a friend's car and a woman he didn't know. The atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Talia had no choice but to say hello and leave. Before he left, he gave Kai a bottle of honey. However, the next second, a magical scene happened. A forest moved to the road behind the two of them in an instant, and Kai's car and Talia's honeybee tractor were all gone. Talia's ass was also cut off in the air. The star leaped. Simply put, 2 pieces of land on the earth exchanged their positions in an instant, and the one who made it was the one behind it. Knowing what was going on, Talia tried her best to stay calm, but Kai went crazy looking for his car everywhere. As a result, half of his feet fell into a pool of cow dung, and then there was a crazier scream. This time, Talia's handsome guy's filter was broken, but Kai didn't get hurt in vain. He immediately found a broken wine bottle in a pizza shop. The location is in Washington, D.C., which is in the northwesternmost part of the United States. It's a 19-hour drive for the two of them. As long as they get there in time, the bees on the tractor will be saved. Talia quickly jumped on the pickaxe. Kai also followed the car. After all, his car was also swept away. But Talia didn't want to take a stranger to Washington, D.C., especially the man who was just out of control in a pile of cow dung. Kai quickly explained that the car was the most important thing his friend had left him. But Talia didn't move at all. Kai turned around and walked back. But when he saw the cut-off butt of the pickaxe, he jumped into it as soon as he saw it. However, he didn't expect to drive a small section. Talia, who was guilty, knocked the car down again. Kai had to get out of the hole again. There was no way. Talia had to put Kai in the pickaxe or the box. Come to a gas station. Talia quickly called the farm that was going to sell the powder. As a result, he accidentally learned that he had to deduct money. This made Talia so angry. Kai stayed in the car and wiped the mud and cow dung that he had brought up. At this time, 2.5 children were riding a bicycle to play. However, the two sides were fighting. The child crawled up from the ground. In an instant he became friends with Kai. After the two quarreled with their families, they planned to ride a bicycle to Fremont to find their grandparents. As a result, one of the tires broke. It took $5 to repair the tire. That's when the quarrel started. Kai sounded nice and funny, but in the end, the two sides reached an agreement. The child helped Kai clean the mud and cow dung with the pickaxe or the box. Kai helped the two of them buy the baby cream. However, Kai couldn't get the $5. It's not because the money flew to Washington in a friend's car, but Kai himself has been poor. Kai went to Talia for money. As a result, the two children drove the pickaxe away. Talia and Kai hurriedly picked up the child's bicycle and chased after it. The pickaxe was of little use. Even a bicycle could catch up. However, Kai forgot that one of the tires had broken. Talia was exhausted again. The two had to squeeze into a bicycle. In the end, they finally caught up with the oil-free pickaxe. The two children rode the bicycle slowly to continue their trip to Vermont. Talia and Kai could only stay on the oil-free pickaxe for a long time. However, Kai, who was used to the night cat, couldn't sleep. In his boredom, he found a note in the car. When he opened it, it was full of a name, Uncle. It also had a picture of Talia and a little girl. Is this little girl called Uncle? It's Talia's child, but it's already dead. Kai, who was sad, suddenly cried. He heard the front seat making a noise. Talia, who was lying in the back row, opened the window. Just when he saw Kai crying, Talia got angry. Realizing that he had made a mistake, Talia apologized quickly. But since no one could sleep, Kai took the opportunity to pour bitter water on Talia. First, his good friend Daifu. Then, Talia's daughter, uncle, and Kai felt that he seemed to have died wherever he went. Kai was right. Talia's husband and daughter died 6 years ago. However, Talia didn't want to touch these sad things. He asked Kai to go to bed. As a result, this guy opened the back door of the pickaxe directly and began to complain to himself. It turned out that the car was assembled by Daifu one by one over several years. The two were originally planning to go on a road trip. As a result, Daifu committed suicide for no reason 2 weeks ago. Just before his baby car by the roadside, the first person who found Daifu's body was Kai. He could only guess that Daifu committed suicide because he was mentally disordered by Jianfeng. Kai asked Talia if her husband and daughter were also killed by Jianfeng. Talia confessed that it was just an ordinary car accident. The tragedy happened in an instant. He only had time to say goodbye to his daughter. After saying that, he seemed to have made up his mind. Talia threw the notebook out. Kai finally understood that this was the reason why Talia was crazy. Pursuing happiness is too luxurious for them, but they have to do something to keep themselves alive. After that, the two went to bed separately. But Kai secretly picked up Talia's notebook. With one eye closed and one eye open, the sun rose again. Jianfeng was still hanging high in the distant sky, not moving. After studying the map, the two continued on the road. Don't ask where the oil from the car came from. Xiaobian didn't know either. Kai is a very talkative person, but Talia was obviously in no mood to chat with Kai all the way. In a desert, Pika made a strong garden. In the end, Talia broke the silence first. He and Kai played his favorite word-guessing game. However, they soon arrived at a place called Glass Lake. The atmosphere in the car was heavy again, because this is not a fire at all, but a large piece of glazed barren land. In 2032, Jianfeng jumped here for the first time. This directly led to the death of 2,354 locals. The whole United States was split into 4 or 5. Now 12 years have passed. Jianfeng is still standing in front of everyone. No one knows if civilization will be destroyed by this inexplicable thing in the next second. But the rent, water, and electricity bills still have to be paid. Now all humans live in such a wonderful state. The two continued to go on the road. Kai said that after he got the car back, he would drive around, far from everything he knew. Now it's the end of the world. Embracing this little selfishness has no harm. Talia also sighed. Sometimes it's easier to talk to strangers. They talked and talked and talked about bees. Talia told Kai, bees are eternal to some extent, because as long as there is a wind tide, even if there is only a little bee left, they can quickly cultivate a new bee king. The whole bee community can continue to flourish and thrive. Is this the fate of the future of mankind? No one knows. The car finally encountered a traffic jam. The reason is that the cult organization is holding a bonfire party in front. In a hurry, Talia found a small road on the map. However, as soon as he got on the road, the car exploded. Because there was no money, Talia's spare tire had already been blown up. In the end, Talia found a farm deep in the forest. There is a warning sign at the door of the farm that says not to cross. It's not welcome here. But to get out of bed, Talia and Kai can only get close to the farm with their heads. In the next second, the gunshot immediately sounded. To protect Talia, Kai stood up very justly and jumped and attracted the fire. However, the other party didn't want to kill the two of them. Now they can only speak in person. After learning that Talia was a beekeeper, the black-holed gun became a hot topic. It turned out that the owner of the farm was just a single mother who took the children away from the turmoil. There is a group of bees on the tree on the farm, but the mother obviously couldn't tame it by herself. Talia soon found the bee and put it in the beehive. The rest of the bees soon got used to it. Seeing this magical scene, a little girl hugged Talia happily. This reminded Talia of her daughter. To bear the pain in her heart, Talia urged Kai to quickly change the tire and leave. But in the end, a panic attack broke out. When Talia calmed down again, she told Kai that her daughter liked bees when she was alive. This is why she wants to keep bees. The two returned to the mainland again. At night, there was only one town left to find. When the two hesitated, Talia stepped on the brake. He saw a pizza shop ad printed on the signboard by the roadside. It turned out to be here. However, when the two found the pizza shop, they found that the shop was dark. The whole town seemed to have been abandoned. Talia suggested leaving quickly, but Kai opened a door that wasn't closed and walked in. Talia thought it was inappropriate to do so. When the two were arguing, A loud noise came from the door. The two had to squat down and turn off the lights. They didn't dare to go out, but the uninvited guests outside the door had already noticed the two. It turned out that it was just a local old man looking for coins. The old man's father had already died in this town. His mother had lung cancer. She had to stay in the town with the old man and wait for death. After Jianfeng appeared, everyone had a hard time. Looking at the background of the old man's lonely departure, Kai and Talia couldn't help but give the old man a jar of honey. Unexpectedly, the good man had some good news. The old man recognized the bee logo on the jar. He said that he had picked up a brand with the same pattern at a campsite outside the town not long ago. Finally, he found the bee. Talia was excited, but there was still a half an hour's drive away from the camp. The two decided to take a nap before they set off. Kai was going back to the parking lot, but Talia told Kai to sleep in the trunk with her. Simple. Talia just wanted Kai to get up and straighten his legs, but it was less than 3 seconds before he lay down. Kai was moving there. He complained that something was stuck in his back. Inevitably, Talia could only help him solve the problem. The two of them looked at each other like this, and then what was supposed to happen happened. But the two of them were just like this. After all, they just met. It's not as bad as a firecracker. The next morning, the two of them came to the campsite very quickly. After a search, Kai finally found a friend's car. Although soaked in water, he found it anyway. Kai was excited, but when he saw this, Talia had an ominous feeling in his heart. His bee nest was indeed soaked in the water. The bee nest was opened first. All the bees were dead. Only the king of bees was still there. But Talia was not happy about it. Now the farm is naturally gone. Talia wants Kai to leave with her. Kai refused. It turns out that Kai thinks Talia has given up, but he doesn't want to give up. This seems to be a bit of a prick in Talia. Although they only met for a short 2 days, Talia fell in love with the man in front of her. There is no way. Talia can only drive back to the town alone. If she can't go to the farm, it means she can't make money. If she can't make money, it means she can't pay the bank's debt. The human race is not over yet. Talia's end of the world is coming. Self-abandoned Talia just let the shopkeeper make a hearty pancake breakfast. Anyway, let's have a good meal first. But it seems that Talia is not unlucky enough. The next second, the guards also came to join the fun. Everyone in the shop fled. However, Talia did not move. Enjoying breakfast in front of you is the most important thing. After eating, Talia wanted to smoke a cigarette. In order to find the lighter, Talia poured out everything in her backpack. As a result, she found that the notebook she had lost was still there. She immediately realized that it had been secretly picked up by Kai. She turned over the notebook and saw Uncle An and her husband in the photo again. This time, Talia finally cried out. The dead man never came back. The end of the world is at the door. All of Talia's emotions exploded. But after a little calm down, Talia suddenly remembered that Kai was still guarding her broken car. As the guards got closer and closer, Talia jumped in the car to save the life she could save. When Talia finally found Kai, he fell asleep on the top of the car. The guards rushed to the front of the car. It was too late. After a strange illusion, in the dark, Talia found that she was not dead. Kai finally woke up. They could hear each other's voices, but they couldn't see each other. At this time, Talia noticed that a door was gradually closing. She shouted Kai's name quickly, but Kai returned to the time when the doctor had just died, and Talia also returned to her home. Uncle An and her husband were both safe there, but she was immediately taken away by a car accident. Returning to the dark, Talia realized that these were painful memories. She called out to Kai again, but Kai was completely immersed in the illusion of being with the doctor. He refused to leave. Talia could only open the car door and sit in the car. At this time, Kai finally revealed his heart. It turned out that he liked the doctor, but now the doctor is dead. Kai fell in love with Talia again. This made Kai think that he had betrayed the doctor. Faced with this truth, Talia was a little confused. In the illusion, the two returned to the pickup truck again. A huge peak rose in front of the two. At Kai's request, Talia finally spoke from her heart. Every time she thought of her daughter and husband, it meant that she would lose them once. Such torture made Talia nearly collapse. When she cleaned the weeds for the graveyard again, Talia saw her family's tombstone collapse again. In anger, she provoked a group of bees in the tree. Talia took out the insecticide and planned to kill the bees. But she was deeply attracted by these magical little lives, and so began the road to recovery. This experience gave Talia an excuse to live on, and so she met Kai. What had already happened was that we could never change it. But life is not just suffering. We can never sink because of it. Under Talia's encouragement, Kai held Talia's hand. The two struggled to the exit. However, the exit was getting smaller and smaller. There was still one last step to go. The two fell to the ground. Only their hands were tightly held together. Were they dead? Actually, no. As soon as the camera turned, the two managed to escape. There was a large piece of glazed land behind them. That's the trace of Jianfeng's walk. The only thing that wasn't enough was that Kai's left toe was also glazed and pulled down. But it doesn't matter. It didn't hurt much anyway. Jianfeng jumped back into the distant sky, as if nothing had happened. But Kai and Talia finally hugged each other. At that moment, Talia found a group of bees flying in the sun. It seems that after the storm, something good will happen. For months later, Talia had a group of bees again. Kai also gave up his fantasy of wandering the world and continued to save others' careers, and the two finally got together. So what is Jianfeng? This is still a mystery to all humans. But for Talia and Kai, it doesn't matter anymore. The graves of Uncle An and her husband are full of flowers. Even if tomorrow is the end of the world, the two have to miss each other. Have a happy day.